Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, cool. What's up? Welcome to a new episode of Movie Schmovie. This is episode number 483. My name is Steve, one of the co-hosts of the show, and as always, I'm joined by.
Ron.
You drank Ian.
I knew you were gonna pick that. There's only one you could pick, and it was
Yeah.
that. Did not disappoint. Did not disappoint. Thanks,
I
John.
try I tried to put a little Tom Hiddleston on it too. How do you like
It
that?
was good. It was good.
You drank Ian.
You drank Ian.
Yeah,
Love that scene. Good to see you guys. It's been a bit. It's been a
Yeah,
bit.
it has.
Life is lifing.
Yeah, a friend who follows the show was like, "Why no movie schmovie?" And I didn't mean to do that thing that you do sometimes, where you tell someone, "Oh, here's the reason," and it's real life stuff, and then they're like, "Oh, okay,
You're like,
never
"Oh,
mind. I'm
damn."
sorry. I'm sorry, you guys." But this was like one of those like 1 week there was some family stuff to
Yeah.
deal with, and
Yeah.
then the next week there was some family stuff to deal with. But
Yeah.
that's one of the great things about this show is that it's here for us when we're here for it.
That's a good way of looking at it, John. I like that.
So we're back.
So we're back. Everybody's okay.
Yeah.
Everybody's
I'm in one
feeling
piece. I'm
what?
not. I'm
What?
not great, but
Yeah,
I'm
so
in one
you're
piece.
feeling well enough to record.
Hell
Not
yeah,
at
I'm
your
here.
peak. Not at your peak, but we appreciate your effort here, Ronald.
I feel like hey at the Breakfast Club. I'm in the field, man. I just
You're like the freeze frame.
such a good song, by the way.
Okay, you know the tragedy of that song, though, right?
No.
They hate it.
Oh, see, that's
The
Who is
always
band
they?
hates it.
The band.
Simple
The
Minds,
band.
yeah.
like
Simple
Simple
Minds.
Minds, they didn't write it. It was kind of
Oh,
given to them. I
okay.
think it was like, I mean, I don't know. I don't have all the facts, but I think it was
Mm,
like pushed on them by a producer or the label or something. And they recorded it.
dang.
And now that's the song that if they play a show, people want to hear twice. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so it's like like I mean it's a Twilight Zone esque fate. We're all musicians, so we can imagine like if if you're a successful band, there's at least one song you have to play every time you play, no matter what. And I always
Right.
think about that. Do you ever think about that? Like the ten
Yeah.
thousandth time you're playing some song that you wrote 20 years ago or 30
Oh
years ago,
man.
how sometimes it must feel like time to make the donuts. But it's also a great thing to have a song that people love that much. So I always think that that's why you get those bands that they start doing funky shit with. They start changing it up, They're
Yeah.
like, well, now we're doing it, a trip hop version of this song, and like, all right, keep it fresh, but I can't sing along like I normally would. But yeah, so here we are.
And
Mm.
what's the plan here? We got the required viewing we were finally talking about,
Yes.
and I'm sure some combination of we've seen a bunch of stuff. I'm sure I would expect, or some variety of things at least. We'll just go through and I guess rattle off, share with one another for the first time, and anyone listening, watching for the first time.
Yeah. This conversation is happening for the first time. That's a
For
good
the
point.
You might not believe it, but this is live in real life. We did not redo this. Um, yeah, so I guess let's get into required viewing. John, remind us.
Yes, a long time ago, we were in the middle of a vampire cycle on the show, and so when it came to be my turn, I pulled this film, Only Lovers Left Alive, directed by Jim Jarmusch, from 20, was it 14? Was it that long ago? 2013. It
Yeah.
was even longer ago. Which, I did not know what the tone of this movie was. I'd heard the concept when it came out, and I was sort of aware of what it is. And I think that, like, Tom Hiddleston and Tilda Swinton together are, like, two of
Yeah.
those sort of impossibly hip, like, weirdly sexy, like,
Sure.
performers. And it sounded like a great concept. But I just, for whatever reason, never felt like, oh, I'm ready to lock in for the vibe of this, because I know Jim Jarmusch's movies. I admire his work, but they're very vibey, and they're very, like, they're
Yeah.
paced very deliberately. And sometimes I probably would enjoy them more than I think I would. But sometimes I feel like I have to be in the right mood for a Jim Jarmusch movie. And watching this one was kind of, oh yeah, when you start to watch one of his movies, 10, 15, 20 minutes into it, whenever it happens, you kind of snap into the rhythm of it, and it becomes, I saw this referred to as a hangout movie in some review that I read before watching it. And watching it, I was like, oh yeah, this is totally in the way that like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood or something has a lot of scenes of just characters sort of talking and driving around
Right.
and stuff.
Right.
So yeah, I felt like once I snapped into the mood of it, I really liked the fact that it's very much a Jim Jarmusch movie, but it's also a movie that is trying to set up its own kind of lore and its own kind of mythology around these characters, and you know the basic idea we have in our head of what vampires are is a little bit like Sinners in this way, in that like they don't really have to explain the rules of vampirism because they're not really breaking the rules of vampirism.
Correct. Correct.
They're just kind of putting their own spin on it, and so you go, oh, this is not a movie that's that interested in like really deeply interrogating vampire stuff. It's more about trying to bring vampires into the real world in you know, I thought eventually it was a very captivating way. But I also would just say that it was really cool seeing. So normally we see Tilda Swinton in a film and she's playing like a character who's kind of an oddball character who weaves in and out, or somebody who pops up in a few scenes. But to see her kind of carrying almost like the romantic lead role of this movie was a lot of fun, spending time with her and having her be kind of the normal one with the range of emotions that you get to experience fully. It was like, oh, she's normally playing, you know, like a character who's a bit more alienating. So I thought that was really fun. And I thought, you know, there's a lot of humor and quiet character moments in this. We were talking before we watched it about how Anton Yelchin is in this, and not having seen a performance from him that is, you know, as often his movies will be, you see him go through some shit and you feel even worse that he's gone. But he's really great in this and really likable. And I also thought Mia Wasikowska really like shows up and does exactly what's needed from that character. John Hurt's in this, a very, very good performance from him. I don't know, a couple of actors like that it was just cool to see again.
Yeah.
And you know, John Hurt's gone, Anton Yelchin is gone, so those were fun
crazy
people to see pop up. But yeah, I mean, I've got a little bit more to say about it, but I guess I will throw to you guys. Steve, Ronald, had either one of you seen this film before or have any preconceived notion of it? Ronald, well, let's talk a little bit about your experience with Only Lovers Left Alive.
I remember seeing this show up at the Charles and thinking, man, this looks like kind of like a slice of life vampire movie, which I hadn't really thought of as a concept. They're just kind of chilling out, vamping, going to different places and you know, living this kind of rock star looking life, which is interesting. So it feels like there's some like parallels being drawn between like some sort of lifestyle in being a vampire or something. Like, you know, it feels like maybe being a certain level of like famous or something. Because, you know, when you see documentaries, it's often pretty similar. You kind of lay low, only travel at certain times, and you don't want to be around too many people, especially as you get older and the fame doesn't feel the same for you as maybe it used to. And I kind of imagine that being a vampire feels very similar. You're like, I'm sick of this shit. Like, you know, I'm not going to do it the same way that I would normally do it. When I was younger, I was jumping off of buildings, like, you know, just all this
you doing
stuff.
that reminded me I didn't put up my background image. There we go. But
It's a great shot.
Yeah, it is. And Ronald, I think what you're tapping into there is such a key part of this movie, which is, I mean, we didn't really talk about the concept of it, but the basic concept is these vampires are bored with immortality. And like they've tried, like we can all relate to that at some point. You know, there's a point in your life where you feel a little bit like you've tried everything you want to try and you're searching around for something, and maybe you get through that. I mean, hopefully we all have those moments and then we find some little spark. But the idea of like immortality, like there's a whole thing about him contemplating suicide or maybe even planning suicide that is like very, you know, again, in the context of the film, it's not necessarily dealing with the issue of suicide, but just the idea of like a solution to that problem that you're talking about, Ronald. At a certain point, you've been around for hundreds, maybe thousands of years.
Right.
It's like at a certain point, you're like, I got to get off this train. I just don't think there's anything in it for me anymore. Which, yes, you could imagine a famous person who's experienced all these amazing things would have the same kind of malaise or the same kind of boredom with the notion of, well, what now? Yeah. What about you, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, I hadn't seen it. Definitely knew about it, and kind of one of those ones that just got away from me. Uh, but the cast always, stood out to me, especially. I guess it is. I guess as the years went by and like Hiddleston kind of became bigger and bigger, like obviously, like people kind of came back to this movie. But I don't know that in general. Like I'm a big Jim Jarmusch like fan. Like I know I like some of his films. But it was really the cast that kind of caught my eye on this, and this idea of like, these modern vampires who are kind of bored of being vampires. So yeah, I don't know. I had missed it. So yeah, I was excited when you chose it. But I mean, yeah, I don't know. This is definitely like the standout to me in the whole movie is are the performances, are the actors and actresses in this movie. I mean, everybody that you mentioned, even Jeffrey Wright pops up in this movie.
Yeah.
As Adam's Doctor Supplier,
Yeah.
Dr. Watson. Uh, but yeah, I don't know. I think the performances stand out. The chemistry between Hiddleston and Tilda Swinton is great. I mean, I think
Hmm.
especially when they kind of come to when she goes to him in Detroit. I think that's kind of where it really kind of takes off a bit. It is a bit kind of slow-ish. It's not really like a vampire movie like some people probably expect it to be. Not that I expected that at all, just knowing and hearing about it beforehand. But the performances are great. Yeah, Anton Yelchin, Ian, I really liked his character. Was kind of bummed for Ian, but I like the what is his name, Marlowe. I like the idea of like his the connection with Shakespeare and all.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. John Hurt is playing Christopher Marlowe, so it's
Yes,
like he's a
yes,
real historical figure,
yeah.
and there's the big, if you
The
know
theory
about
around it,
right.
yeah,
And so yeah, it was cool, and even them being, I don't think we're literally meant to take them as Adam and Eve, but even their names being Adam and Eve
sure, of course.
is meant to create this sense of it's a little bit like it makes it into a fable in a way that their names are Adam and Eve and they're friends with Christopher Marlowe, you know. But it also makes you think
Yeah.
there's no way to really know how far back they go, but they clearly have lived many lives
Well, I
worth
think that
of
don't they say he's
experience.
like she's I feel like they said it in the movie. Isn't he older? She's older than him.
They
Like
they
I,
may
I
touch
felt
on
like there
that.
was like
Yeah,
600 years
I
old,
think they did. They
Okay.
did say something about the age
and,
difference.
and like she's like 1,000, or she's considered like she's older than him, which is the kind of thing like he's kind of burned out, and she's kind of out there still kind of consuming modern world in a way that is not as kind of strung out as he is on it. But yeah, I don't know. Like I definitely dug the take of, kind of vampires having no option but to continue on. Well, unless they, you know, t took their own lives, which is kind of teased, but never really kind of comes to fruition. And the movie kind of ends a little bit on a, more of a for them maybe a positive note, or more of a risque kind of like go for broke kind of note.
Yeah.
With
Yeah,
them, like the idea of like feeding on people again.
Yeah, which is what they've moved away from at the
Yeah,
beginning of the movie. It feels then it's and what's interesting is it feels like, oh, maybe they're doing this so as not to, like they're doing it mostly out of like boredom, and it's that what you're
right.
talking about, Ronald, that self isolation. They don't really want to go out in the night and be around people. They call them zombies.
I like that. I
They
like that
really
a
feel
lot.
separate from society, you know. So the idea that they would be back out on the streets feeding off of people directly, it makes them the vampires that you expect, but also it's like a de-evolution or something for them as people.
And even the idea that like, part of the reason they're not feeding on people is because they're trying to not like get sick,
Yeah,
because of like the modern contaminants of what, people do to themselves, and something which, whatever happens to Marlowe in this film, like there's something having to do with that, possibly with his demise. But
yeah, right.
I don't know, that's all like kind of I like a lot of that stuff, and like you mentioned the references to humans as zombies, and like looking at all the things that we are doing like that just are so difficult or just so stupid, to them especially,
Yeah.
and the way they talk about zombies is just kind of funny to me. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I really dug the whole not feeding on humans, and it's like this safe approach. And I think like, kind of their boredom with everything and that pivot toward the pivot at the end of the movie, um, at least for their characters is like a, kind of interesting change. Maybe not so safe, but maybe a little bit of excitement,
Yeah, in a
a
weird way,
jolt.
like it's weird to be like, wow, they're back to their true selves, and
Yeah,
yet it now means that they're like, like evil creatures that are going to kill people.
exactly.
Um, Ronald, what do you think you would get the tiredest of if you were immortal?
Probably like the like line between turning somebody and possibly killing them.
Okay.
I feel like I'd get that timing down kind of bad. Like I feel like I'd try it and like, oh fuck. You know what I mean? Like I just feel like I wouldn't get that down for a little while and then I get used to it. But yeah, I think that's what it would bother me the most. Because it seems to be a fine line. Like it's like what was it, 10 seconds? And it seems like, okay, that person's gonna turn at some point. And then
Yeah,
if somebody's like talking to me, I'm like, "Ruff,
I get
ruff," you
distracted.
know?
Like, oh shit, I just killed him. I wanted to keep him
Yeah.
or her. No,
Yeah,
it's funny.
I guess I would think more broadly. I think I would be tired if I had been around for 600 years.
Mm.
I think I would be tired of like bathing. And I think
Oh.
that's probably why a lot of
Okay.
monsters kind of seem like they stink, is because they're probably like, if you're sitting in the house for a few days and you're
Yeah.
kind of keeping away from people, you might be in the same pair of sweatpants all the way through and not have anybody notice until you go out into the light of day. And if you never go out into the light of day as like a creature of the night, yeah, I feel like I would be pushing the hygiene thing if I had been around for 600 years.
Good call.
I would probably still enjoy that. You do shower sometimes, and you're so pleased with yourself for being like a human being. That's
Like so
Yes.
clean. Yeah.
you're like, oh my god, I feel so clean. I should have done this sooner. But I think so. I think I would still experience that. But I bet that it would be like if someone showed up to my lair, I'd be thinking, wait, when was the last time I? Oh my god, that was 6 days ago. Although I don't even know, do vampires produce the same?
Good
Like
question.
do they sweat and stink the same way we do? I don't know. That movie didn't answer that question. It answered a lot of questions.
Yeah, that's my biggest problem with this film is it didn't answer that question.
The
Yeah.
hygiene question.
Yeah, the hygiene, like, do they stink? Do they sweat?
Yeah. Didn't get to the nitty gritty of it all.
Well, let's take as an indication that when Ava, the sister of Eve, shows up, um, and Anton Yelchin's character, what was his name?
Ian.
Ian. That's right, because it was in the line that I said. Ian like instantly crushes on her, so she
Yeah.
probably doesn't. She probably doesn't reek of the grave or smell like rotting flesh or anything. So maybe vampires. Maybe they have like some people just have a natural essence that
Yeah.
draws you in. That might be one of the qualities, like pheromones. They were part of Dracula that we watched a couple of episodes ago. The idea of scent kind of hypnotizing people. So if they do have a musk, maybe it's the kind of musk that brings you in. But yeah, I told you when I chose this one, I was choosing between this and the Toby Hooper film Life Force, which
Hmm.
I had not seen before, and I watched that, and that's an insane film. So I guess as a little sidebar to this, I would say, like, have you seen it, Steve?
No, I know the
Ronald,
movie, but
have you
yeah.
seen Life Force?
No.
Oh man, it's got some of the hammiest, campy acting in it that you've ever seen in your life, and then it's got
Okay.
like these aliens that show up that are basically vampires,
Okay.
but they're nude. They show up in the form that people would find the most alluring. So there's like two men and one woman, and they're nude, and it's just funny to me that when the woman's up walking around, they don't do anything to like shield your eyes from her nudity. But when
Yeah.
the guys are walking around, there's all these conveniently placed shadows that are hiding their junk. Or like they're walking behind something, almost like Austin Powers, just that we can't show the junk. of the male aliens, but the woman, we've got to make sure that we show every possible angle of this alien. I mean, it's one of those films where you're like, if you were a 10-year-old kid staying up to watch a movie on HBO because it was supposed to have some nudity in it, this one would really be a success story for you. But it was, yeah, it's just a wild film because it's like campy and old fashioned, but then it's mixed with the kind of exploitation film kind of level of flesh that I was just describing. And then there's some animatronics and puppets that are pretty, I mean, they look charming. It's that thing of physical effects that you'll always be charmed by, but they are really pushing what they are able to pull off in this film. You know, there's there's an attempt to make it kind of epic, and there's some things that are really cool, and then other things that just look insanely fake. But yeah, I think it's like, it's an entertainingly like all over the place movie in that sense of like, this is not intentionally campy, but it came out kind of campy. Like there's even one lead guy who there's not a single convincing line reading in the entire movie.
Yeah, I will always remember that poster, like with the eye looking down on the globe.
Yeah. I mean, it's got some cool things in it. I mean, it's based on a book, so it's got like the sci-fi horror ideas behind it are worked out to an extent that there's an actual story there.
Sure.
But it bites off a little bit more than it can chew in terms of the production. But
Yeah, that whole idea of like the alien being like a beautiful woman or handsome man, it's like, especially the nude element. It's like it makes me think of Species with Natasha Henstridge. It's like the same kind of thing.
It is a similar vibe to that because it's like that kind of like, it's kind of like looking at you, and it's got this sort of non-human intelligence, you know. So there is and there's also the whole thing in the movie of like, maybe these creatures may have visited us before. They may be the origin of all of our legends about vampires, you know. So they really try to make it feel epic in that way. But yeah. So that's a little sidebar recommendation. I don't know if it's a recommendation. I guess I am saying it's entertaining. Like if you're watching it, you're wondering if there's a movie like that that's kind of like not going to be great, but is going to pull you through it. I thought Life Force was weirdly watchable.
Nice.
Species reference. My friends Sean and Jake were on set of Species 2 when it was filmed all over Maryland.
Yeah, I remember seeing that. It was
they were
filmed
like
here.
production stuff. Yeah,
I like the first Species.
I haven't seen it in a really long time, man. It's been a long ass time. I need to see it.
That had a great cast, didn't it? Didn't it have like a lot of crazy talent in it?
Yeah, it's well, I mean, it was kind of what introduced her, but Natasha Henstridge was in it. Michael Madsen,
Alfred
Ben
Molina?
Kingsley, Melina's in it. Forrest Whitaker's in it. Michelle Williams,
Yeah.
Wow.
Mark Helgenberger. Like, yeah, pretty stacked cast. Like a good cast.
And a lot of them die.
Most, yes.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah. It's
Most
fucking crazy.
indeed.
Most of them die.
So what's up next? We got Ronald, your pick, right?
Ronald.
Yeah. I'm sorry, guys. I'm gonna have to break away from the vampire theme, but I'm gonna go from vampire to campy, and something that's very accessible.
Okay, good. I got the picture. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I forgot.
When a Category 5 hurricane decimates a coastal town, the storm surge brings devastation, chaos, and something far more frightening: hungry sharks. Gentlemen, I have chosen 2016's Netflix movie Thrash, which comes out the day of this release, this episode's release.
2026.
Yeah, what did I say?
16.
Oh my God.
You went back in time.
I went back in time. Doo.
Back in time. So we went back in time there, but then we found out that this film we'd have to wait 10 years for it. So we aged 10 years waiting for
Oh
it.
yeah.
No, it's a fun one. Yeah, we do a shark movie. I'm
Yeah,
always
man.
down for a good shark movie.
Especially when they just crawling around in debris, like they're swimming around in debris. It's just
Well, what's the one that came out a couple years ago? The gator one or the crocodile one?
Because I thought that was the
the
one you
surfing
were,
on the what's the name, right?
no, I don't know about were they surfing in the
Yeah,
film that
there's
we're
like a
talking?
the cover. She's like surfing on the board.
Crawl
Is she?
or
Crawl. Yeah, Crawl. That's it.
Yeah,
there's a sequel coming to that, I think.
I like that a lot.
It was a great
yeah,
Yes.
it was a great like B movie for it was made exactly right for what it was,
Yes.
yeah.
100%.
It had some good I think I remember that was like a late summer movie or something. It just had that feel of like a small nasty movie that did not
Yeah.
like
Yeah, Alexander, what's his name? Alexandra Aha.
yeah, right.
Yeah, he did
Aja
that.
or
Aja,
yeah.
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know how we're supposed to say that name, but
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah,
the
yeah,
cover
yeah.
I have is the one where she's like, I don't know if you guys can see it in the chat. That's pretty cool to show a picture. Uh,
She's like sitting on top of
yeah,
something.
but from a distance, it kind of looks like she's surfing on top as the.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah, I see what you're talking about. Yeah, that was good. I mean, hopefully Thrash is good. I've heard good things about Thrash,
hopefully,
that it's fun. Because I know there was a bunch of articles about that a few weeks or maybe last month or something that like going through like a rename. The movie
oh
got renamed. I can't remember what the name of it was prior, but I think Adam McKay is a producer on it. I
yeah,
remember that was in the article I read about the name change. Um, this is another one of those movies that Sony made and sold to Netflix. Like
oh
it was
wow,
supposed to come out theatrically first. Um, and then, same thing like when they sold all that stuff like with K-pop Demon Hunters and there's a bunch of other Sony stuff that they sold to Netflix, but this is one of those excuse me, one of those movies that was a part of that kind of offloading or pivot for Sony. Cool. Yeah, I'm excited to see that. That's good.
oh
So what else? What else? Actually, so you said Netflix comes out the day the date of this episode, so April 10th. So
yes.
yeah, if you have Netflix,
Unfortunately, it
check
isn't
it
on
out.
Tubi, man. That's
Yeah.
sucks, but yeah.
All right. Well, what else, man? Like I said, we haven't gotten together in a bit. So what else have you guys watched? If you want to, anybody
Well,
want?
wasn't there a big one that we were supposed to
Well,
talk about that we
I
didn't talk
I
about?
was gonna say we've all seen Project Hail Mary, right?
I mean, we haven't seen it the same way. I saw it in a very unique way.
There's no need to brag. That's all I'm saying. There's no need to brag. We're all friends here.
I was in a
I,
goddamn ship. I saw it in 40X in Frederick. It
that's
felt like
awesome.
my fucking neck was gonna break.
That's hilarious.
That's a weird. I like the idea that that's the feature of the service that you pay for.
Yeah.
So somebody squeezes your neck while you watch the
You trying to
movie.
have your neck broke? That's
Or to,
the
yeah.
tagline for 40X.
But yeah, well, I guess maybe you can talk about that part of the experience, Ronald, on top of the movie. But I mean, it's like I will just say this: when I texted you guys after seeing it,
Yeah.
I think you said thoughts, and I had tried not to say anything because I really didn't want to be like, because when my family was walking out of it, we were all three smiling from ear to ear, and like Nikki and Henry had not known about the movie or hadn't remembered the trailer. So when I said, "Hey, you guys want to see Project Hail Mary this weekend?" they were like, "What is that? You don't
Right.
remember that?" And sometimes a teenage kid can be very much like, "Yeah, what? Oh, that? Yeah, sure, whatever." Like they can
Yeah.
just cut right to your heart with like their indifference. So I was like, "Man, this," but it was so vindicating to have them both coming out of it like
Oh
practically
yeah.
skipping because they had seen that kind of movie. And I think that when a movie like this is this much of a crowd pleaser and it's this good, it
Sure.
just it is. I mean, I don't need a movie to be happy and make me feel good to be a great film, and movies that make me happy to go see
Yeah.
movies. I can be happy I
Yeah.
saw a depressing movie, if it's really good.
For sure.
But like it's really fun sometimes to get one of these kind of down the middle. For me, like just a down the middle success story of a movie, the execution of it, the
Totally.
everything around it. I just feel like what a like it's hard not to think this won't end up feeling like one of the best movies of the year when we get to the end of the year. I'm sure there's some good stuff
I
coming, but
totally agree with everything you said. This is
yeah.
a home run movie. Like
Oh, man.
this is a big swing. This is a big, thing for Amazon, for Lord and Miller, for Gosling. I loved reading about this because like he has owned the rights to like to the book apparently. Gosling has had it for a while.
Mm.
And so like, whatever it took to get it on the screen, like he's always been a part of this, which, I think is the strongest thing that the movie, one of the strongest things the movie has going for it is just him. And I think he is absolutely stellar in the movie. And I think that it's like hard to imagine anybody else in that role,
Yeah.
having seen it and to know that it's like something that he wanted to do after reading the book and wanting to be a part of this thing in some way, went to get it on the screen. And I think the Lord and Miller of it all, like what a home run for them too. I mean, they're just phenomenal. Like they really are. I think the way that they, and Drew Goddard as well, to give attention to him for writing it, like it just I just felt like it's one of those things, John, you're getting to it, like everything just worked for this movie to get it on the screen, and the experience of watching it on the screen, everything worked as well as a viewer.
Hmm.
So like I just felt like same thing. Aaron and I watched it in IMAX, and the entire movie, there's just like the amazing gamut of emotion that you experience. Is what's going to the movies is so good and so exciting, is that you're there's suspense, there's thrill, there's like a thrilling element, there's action, lots of comedy, lots of heart and emotion, tears, like it's one of those four quadrant things where like a family could watch this movie, I think, and like yours did, John,
Hmm.
and really kind of all walk out just smiling ear to ear. And yeah, I mean, I could talk about it for a long time, and I have been talking about it since I've seen it with people who had asked how it was. And and in every conversation, I find myself focusing on something else about the movie that I felt was pretty much perfect.
Yeah.
And whether that's the cinematography, Greg Fraser, the score, it was so much fun to watch, and I agree that it will be hard for this to not be among my favorite movies of this year when it comes time to talk about that at the end of the year, because it lived up to every expectation I had, and that's crazy. And that's now, 2 years in a row where maybe my favorite movie of the year came out in the first, 3 months of the year. And that's yeah, it's
Um,
pretty
I,
awesome.
I wanted to, you mentioned the thing about the best movies of the year. I just want to say, like, I've already seen three movies this year that I feel that way about. This one might be
Hmm.
the one that's the biggest, but like, I feel that
Wow.
way about Bone Temple, and
Oh
I
yeah, it's
feel
great.
that way about
That was 2026.
Yeah.
Oh,
Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie. All three of
oh
those
shit.
are movies that I will be surprised if they're not in my top 10 at the end of the year.
Mm.
Yeah, that's
Um,
amazing.
and the other thing I wanted to say, Ronald, before you start, and this might be a good way to prompt you. Steve mentioned crying. I cried several points in this film, maybe no
Yeah.
surprise. I will say this, though. What struck me the first time that I nearly burst into tears watching it, that I was like, why am like I had to be like, man, this movie's hitting me so hard, and I was thinking about what was making me cry, and it was watching a guy make friends with a little guy. Like
Yeah.
there was a moment where they were in that first scene of them becoming friends, where
Yeah.
the sweetness of it and the patience the movie was taking with it, and the way these two creatures are both like reaching out to each other and trying to understand instead of being like you're different from me and I'm
Yeah.
afraid of you, or you're different from me and I hate you. There was
Ah,
just, it was so
I know.
hopeful the way that they reached out to each other. And there was just a moment, I don't even remember what it was, but when they were going back and forth and he was typing in the words, and there was just some moment when they're in the getting to know you section that I was just like, oh my God, oh, they're becoming friends.
Yeah.
So I don't know, Ronald, but what was your tipping point? If there was did you cry? And if so, what
Uh,
was the tipping point?
Mine, I had a ton. Okay, so I think about Lord and Miller and what people like Lionel Boyce may represent to them. To people that just saw him through the cooking show. He's the cooking show. He's on the cooking show. To us, anybody that knows him before that, he's L Boy from Odd Future, Wolfgang Kill Them All, which is crazy to see a rapper who they've never really presented as a rapper at any point and on anything that he's been in, be this force. You know what it felt like? It felt like Hundreds of Beavers, this task-based thing where you see Ryan Gosling, you're like, how's he gonna tackle this language thing? And then it's like I'm playing a video game. He's like, okay, he figures it out, and then the language happens, and then
That's a great
yeah,
poll.
it feels really cool. And
It's a
what I
problem solving movie. You're right.
problem solving movie, and what you realize is like it's not just the fact that he's a scientist. he does something to people. And you can see when he first meets he first meets Lionel Boyce's character, and he's like, "Oh, I don't have the budget for that." And he's like, "You have the budget? I don't have the budget for that." And he's like, "But I have a card." And then you realize that like people are invested in him, and then you realize that the lady that kind of is being cold about it starts to get feelings for him, and then it's like everybody he interacts with is drawn to him in his cool way. Even when he's presenting the information and they're like, I like this guy. I like the way he's presenting this information because he's like used to dealing with restless kids that don't really care what the fuck you're saying until you make it science exciting. So it reminds me of it. Okay, so this fucked me up on a lot of levels. My mom is a science person, and I've watched her in a class. My dad was also a teacher. I've watched him in a class, and what it takes to keep people's attention and teach people is a small feat. And I think the teachers should be paid so much more than they do. And the fact that he called himself just a teacher, like it was some sort of failure when they first meet him is a crime within itself.
Well, I saw this great quote from Drew Goddard, who Steve mentioned, who wrote the script and adapting Andy Weir's novel. And if you look at Drew Goddard's credits, he probably, if you are a fan of, hold on a second, what just happened? Yeah, if you look at Drew Goddard's credits, the hold on a second, what happened here? I don't know. I'm going to restart that because I think my I don't know, Ronald, if you want to mark this to edit around this part because
Okay.
my recording stopped, but now it's going again. I'm trying to figure out why, but we'll just hope it all goes well. Yeah, you mentioned the screenwriter Drew Goddard, Steve, and it's an interesting thing because I've known his name for so long because of the stuff he worked on. Like he was a writer for Buffy, and then from after that, he was just a fun guy to kind of track. Where he's written some interesting movies and there's something about that adaptation that feels really smart. And that's definitely an element of this movie. The fact that it's got like a strong voice in that sense. And he said the coolest thing that's related to what you were just saying, Ronald, which is that it might sound kind of corny or unlikely to say a school teacher is the only person who can save the world. But he said that just felt right to him. Like when he was writing the film, that he was really working on that idea that like this just feels really good to me. That the whole hero of this movie is a dedicated teacher,
Right.
and then to make teaching such a big part of his character, it's like again that can feel corny. But he was saying like it was just too right. It was like the rightness of it overcame the corniness of it for him. When he was writing it, and I feel like the movie does that constantly. It flirts with being corny. But it just feels good at the end of this movie to be like this is like a love letter to teachers. I don't know. You don't necessarily, if someone had said, "Hey, you want to go see a love letter to teachers?" I might be like, "Yeah, that might be a good movie." But like it's fun to see a movie that's this exciting and this uplifting, and then at the end you realize how much that's a through line.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
Ryan
for
Gosling
sure.
is clearly attracted to that aspect of the character, and like his rapport with the kids at the beginning being kind of echoed at the end of the film. It's just a really cool depiction of somebody who, like you said, when he's talking to all the scientists and stuff, who they could be treating him like a joke or who's this schlub they brought in, but everybody kind of likes the guy. I just feel like
You can't not like the character,
right.
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is like, I think the circumstances that, we meet Rocky and just their connection and things like that. It all just funnels into just an incredible movie, man. It's just like it's one of those things where you're like, yeah, they still make movies like this,
Right.
like where you're just
Yeah,
like kind of you're just like smiling at moments, not for, something being funny, but you're like smiling just because like of the wonder of like of what you're watching. You know what I mean? Like there's
yeah,
scenes in
yeah,
the movie where you're just so wowed by things, whether it's visual or it's a problem being solved, like you mentioned, Ronald, like, him building the box to reproduce it in the beginning of the movie with the help and with the, when they're shopping for stuff and getting all the
Oh,
supplies, like
that scene is so great.
all these scenes just like work so well and they kind of they they step through the story and tell us so much about this character that we spend the whole movie with in these chunks that matter for like who he is. Even the scenes that we see through the flashbacks, like that are, that are very vulnerable scenes, that are very like sad scenes, scenes that are based out of fear and being scared, like very human things. Um, but then, you have those moments again that aren't just purely comedic, but there are just moments where you just can't help but smile at them because they're like, oh, that's possible.
Mm.
That exists still. That could still work. And oh,
Yeah.
oh, it worked. Oh, good. Oh, it worked. It's just, man, yeah, this is a great movie. I can't wait to watch it again. And yeah, Your Honor, you saw it in a premium format. Like I can imagine how that was watching it, like with the movement and everything. Even the IMAX was amazing. The ratio was beautiful. It looked amazing. I wanted to go back and watch it in one of the Dolby screens, but I don't know if I have time. But
Yeah, I want to see
this
Reese.
is one of those movies that, yeah, if you can go watch it in theaters, please. I mean, obviously it's a massive hit, which is great. Um, to see the success that it's enjoying currently and hopefully continues to. But
Yeah, it's an argument for making real sets.
yeah,
It's an argument for
yeah,
the same thing that they've learned with Grogu on The Mandalorian, which is that people are going to a puppet is going to give actors something to interact with that's just real. And the fact that
feels
Rocky
right.
is a puppet is insane. I mean, I know they computer
It's
assist the
augmented,
puppet,
yeah,
but like Ryan Gosling is interacting with Rocky visually, and I think that helps the performance.
yeah.
I
Oh,
was comparing
definitely.
it to like Mark Hamill and the Yoda puppet in Empire Strikes Back, as far as like you sort of can admire the puppet, but then you can admire what this brings out in an actor when they tap into that. I'm going to
Yep.
give it all to this thing in front of me and I'm going to make it real. And I'll tell you this, it makes me feel so much, not that I wasn't confident before, but like after The Fall Guy came and went and was like not the sort of myth making,
Yeah.
crowd pleasing movie that it seemed like it could have been for Ryan Gosling, especially at
Right.
that point in his
Right.
career. This feels like that movie,
Oh,
and it
totally.
makes me feel so good about him leading a Star Wars movie. Like he's going to be able to pull off that. You were describing it, Steve. You end up smiling and kind of chuckling at just the charm of a
I know.
character,
I know.
and like he brings, and there are moments of humor, but it's not like ha 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 humor. It's like just fun little things. Like he'll throw himself into a chair and the chair kind of falls back a little too much, and you see him kind of like when he's figuring out how to even be the guy in charge of this ship and stuff. He doesn't know what to
Right.
do, and he's like, it's like, all right, ship's computer, like he's really trying to, and then what you were saying, Steve, that's really cool. I thought normally that flashback structure could get a bit tedious, but the movie actually sets up a central mystery that you don't even realize is a
I know.
mystery.
I
And
love
that's
it.
where I feel like it's so skillfully done, is that like when you get to the end, you realize you're getting the solution to a mystery you didn't even know that you had. But it makes the whole thing feel more, it just is even more perfectly calibrated when you realize, oh, him
Yeah.
not knowing what to do is a feature, not a bug of the story.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Because he says at some point, he says something like really smart. He's like, "Am I smart?"
Yeah.
It's like
Right.
what? It's so funny, man. Yeah, that movie's incredible. So glad I saw it. And the 40X elements were like internal stuff. So like when the mechanical stuff went wrong, it would
Yeah.
show up in the theater. So like when the smoke came or there was some water or something like that, it would kind of smoke
Come
would
into
fill up the room. It was cool, man.
that's crazy.
It's pretty goddamn
That is
great.
wild. That is
Yeah,
wild.
it's a wild experience. Um,
When Rocky was hurt, did the sizzling stuff, like did you smell like burning flesh or
Burning.
burning
there
rock?
was they make sounds though, like there's like a when there's like fire or anything like heat related, there's like a scent you can smell stuff.
Oh.
Yeah, it's weird, man. It is a full on experience that I could be overwhelming for some. I could tell that some people are like, I think I
What?
want to go home.
Yeah, what did I sign up for?
There was a person that was like, I think this is too much for me.
I
It's only
believe
going
it,
to take
man.
6 years to get home or whatever, 12 years to get home.
Yeah, crazy. We recommend this movie.
Yeah, we do. This is like one of those. I mean,
100%, man.
I had such confidence too when I saw it. I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
there's no way that everyone won't love this, or at least really enjoy the experience of seeing it." But, yeah, it definitely put a smile on my face that it wasn't a sequel or a requel or a prequel
Yeah.
or anything. I mean, I love my franchises, but it's really cool to see a movie that isn't connected to anything except, as you were saying, Steve, it's like the Lord and Miller franchise or the Ryan Gosling franchise to
Yeah.
some extent, of just like this attention paid to the elements of the production to making this movie special. Um,
Yeah, it's great. What else did you guys watch? Anything that stood out or that you wanted to mention?
Anybody see anything else in the theater?
I did.
What did you see?
And you know what I saw. Gang gang.
Oh, you're going that.
I
Oh,
saw
you're
that
going that
too.
route. That's where I thought you were
Well,
going.
let's
That's the one I knew
let's
you
do
saw.
let's talk about that first because that
It's a weird title for a movie, but they
I
went
know.
with
Why did they call it that?
Why they call it
I saw that too, so I was going to mention that.
Yeah, let's talk about okay, so let me ask you up top. Did you like it over more than the first one?
No,
Okay.
no.
Okay.
I did not. I mean, my kids were fine with it. I mean, I don't think I love either one of them or really
Yeah.
even really like either one of them. But I found the first one a little more. We're talking about the Super Mario Galaxy movie, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, by the way.
official
You
title.
cheeky bastard.
Uh, But I felt like the first one, at least, like the story was a lot more linear and understandable, and like
Yeah.
not so spastic, and just like how many things can we throw on the screen,
Yeah.
which you kind of were alluding to before I saw it. But they're comparable to me, I guess. I mean, there's some cool stuff to be able to see on the screen as a fan of the game and this game in general, like, or this element of the game in general was kind of cool to see, but um, it's definitely like not. I felt like it's not trying to do anything beyond be a Mario movie that
Yeah.
is bright and shiny and
Yeah.
fast and you know I don't know. I can't really think the best way. Like just all over the place.
It makes you realize, I mean, come on. I mean, what I'm about to say is very obvious, but it makes it very obvious that a animated script in the hands of a Pixar or Disney is very different than another company. Like there's a cohesiveness that a lot of the stories have. Not all of them, but a lot of them have. That's like this. We're gonna stick the landing when it comes to this stuff, and I think I've been coming out of these movies feeling like, I just showed my daughter the first 30 minutes of Toy Story, and she is processing in front of me the concept of toys being active when they're not around humans. And she's like, hold on, why is this happening? What the hell is going on right now? I'm just like,
this documentary has really
yeah,
blown my
yeah,
mind.
yeah. It's like, why does that happen? I was like, well, they may be afraid of how the humans react. She's like, so do my toys do that when I'm like, this is just a story. But the fact that it got her that quickly
Sure.
is just a testament to how well a lot of those stories are told. And I think that Mario is just capitalizing on the characters, and there's nothing wrong with that because it does a really good job. Like when some of the characters appear, people are literally getting up and running around. Like it was like, who? What? Like it was like, yeah, it was real weird. It was very strange how people
That
reacted.
is weird.
So yeah, people were going ape shit, and it wasn't a big screaming. And the person I went with was like, "Why are people reacting like this?" I was like,
And then you look and you realize you accidentally bought a ticket to a goof around screening.
it literally says Super Mario Brothers Galaxy, the mess around. You got to do the mess around. Yeah, I was like, what the fuck is this? Why is this guy doing a cartwheel? But yeah, people are going crazy for the references, and that's why this is a very reference-rich movie with
Sure.
not a lot of. I mean, there's some dad stuff in it, in this one versus the last one, but that's still only, shown on a surface level. But
Right.
they're solid, man. I'll watch it again. I'll watch it again.
Yeah, I mean, it's like again, it's like watching it. It's not like I really have any real problem with it. It's
Right,
just
right, right.
it literally is like in words. I'm trying to just say it's just seeing the things that I've played in games in a
Yes,
movie.
yes.
Like it's
That's it.
which is kind of crazy because it's like that's it's a similar medium like in terms of like the creation and the not no, the not the interactive part, but I mean like. I don't know. It's a weird experience because like I do feel like, there's something to be said for some of these animated films that really have that they use this IP and there's I don't know, you could probably come up with ideas, but like but there are like there's something else going on in the movie,
Yeah,
beyond just the story from the game or at least story points from the games. Um I'll probably will struggle to come up with an example as I say this out loud, but I just feel like, the medium is like a gateway to like bring these games to the screen and vice
yeah,
versa and
yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
But there's an opportunity there with how these things are being written and produced to like, to do something bigger with it beyond just leveraging the IP, which is kind
yeah,
of what you were saying before. And it is what it is. They're monster hits. They're like, made like $438 million worldwide, like so far. So it's a insane how big these movies are for Universal. So I mean, they'll keep coming, and they've already teased the next one. And uh, yeah, I mean, good job, Nintendo. And
yeah.
Universal made a big massive hit from your big massive hit game.
Right, right, right.
Yeah, Nintendo's finally going to make some money off of
They're
Mario.
finally getting money from
Finally,
Mario. Yeah.
finally.
What's the gang gang? What's the gang gang? You saw what is that? The drama?
Hmm, the
What can,
drama
what,
is,
what can you tell me about that without apparently spoiling everything?
yeah. How do I say this without spoiling anything? There is a couple that is about to get married, and in preparation, you have the venue where you're tasting the cake and all that stuff, and somehow a roundtable discussion comes up about, the worst thing that everybody's done. So there's a couple who's kind of the reverse of Zendaya and um, Robert Pattinson, black man, white woman, and they're close friends with Zendaya and Robert, and they say the worst things that have happened to them. That was very dramatic.
I was about to
And
say
then
your
they get,
camera likes your hand motions.
yeah.
Have you?
Then they
Are you
go
doing any of that on purpose, or is
no,
that okay?
no, that was very weird. They did that. Then they get to Robert Pattinson, who says something very strange, and then they get to Zendaya, who reveals something controversial, to say the very least, and it sends Robert Pattinson and the friends into a frenzy because it's not a normal thing. The thing that she admits is not a normal thing. But look, I mean, depends on who you talk to. There's a lot of people that be like, all right. You know what I mean?
Well, my understanding of it, because I did have it spoiled for me, is something where it's like, yes, it is bad, but it's also a story about something you almost did more so than something you did. So I
Yeah.
feel like
Yeah.
that it's like it's one of those. I think we can all relate to that kind of confession where you've ever said to somebody, a dark thought you've confessed, and then you realize as it's coming out of your mouth, like, oh wait, this is not.
But
This isn't small talk. This isn't something that someone's going
yeah,
to be able
yeah.
just to let roll off their brain. They're going to think differently of me after I tell them
But
this.
they get so caught up in the minutia of like why it didn't happen,
Right.
that it's like that's not what matters. It's like that was a long time ago. These were different, this person, everybody telling a story was a different person back then,
Right.
whatever it is, and but it spirals. It is a true drama. Like it gets fucking weird.
So it's a drama, not a dark comedy. Because for some reason,
I
it looked
don't,
like a dark comedy to me.
I don't know I
It's
mean.
be, it's being promoted that way for sure.
There's some funny parts, man, for sure. But once it gets into the what the issue is,
Hmm.
there's not as many laughs. I'll put it like that.
Well,
It's
it's not a very laugh left field issue. I mean,
Yeah,
again, just
it's
knowing
not.
what it is,
It's not.
it's not light
But like,
material.
also, there's some. How do I say this? There's some. Sometimes I feel like when you write black characters into things, you should talk to some black people because sometimes it feels like there's like this is not a shared experience. It's not. It's not a thing that you can write about casually,
Hmm.
it's summoning an energy that it's not equipped to handle because that person doesn't know what it's like to be in this circumstance. You know what I mean? Like it's a
Yeah.
very strange thing. It's like that's why it sucks to just write about people you don't know about. And they're like these ideas versus they're just these moving parts versus people you're invested in the way that you're invested in the story.
Hmm.
And that kind of is an issue. There's a black woman that wrote this article that basically was like this movie presents a a subject and premise that it can't handle. And I was like, that's a little weird. Then I watched it, I was like, oh, she cooking with grease. But I mean, it's gonna feel like that. It's when will people learn? When will people learn? I don't know what that's. But it is a solid movie. That's the thing. Like if somebody's turning that part of their brain off, which is hard in this sometimes because it's like the story, parts of the story really rely on this very unique experience that Zendaya is talking about. Um, like should people if I'm not a queer person, should I write a queer character, or should I get some help with it? I think about that stuff. Like if I'm summoning this humanity, do I get help writing it? It's like that's what I wonder. I was
Well, right. I mean, it's like if you're summoning the humanity, but you're doing it. I'm split on that idea of like who can tell what story, but I think you nailed it when it's like you need to make sure you're doing your due diligence. And here's what I think happens sometimes, Ronald. I think sometimes they cast a movie with an eye
mm,
towards it doesn't matter what the race of these characters are
right.
or what the background or whatever it might be, and they don't always understand the implications of what that does to a story sometimes.
Yeah.
Because maybe Zendaya wants to play a certain type of character, or maybe Robert Pattinson wants to play a certain type of character. But those like for lack of a better term, the identity politics of
Yes.
characters, you can't pretend it won't be a factor. Even if we
Yes.
want to say, oh, well, Zendaya can play any kind of character in any kind of film, some people will say this doesn't
That's
ring true
it's not true.
being a person of color or whatever. And it's
And
like I think you're right that maybe that's where you would need someone to just give the script a gloss and say like,
yeah.
does this ring true to the experience of this character, or are you just putting who you think is the best actor in a role and thinking it doesn't matter what the options
Yes.
are? Which in a way it shouldn't, right? I mean, in a perfect world it wouldn't matter, but we aren't in a
It
perfect world.
shouldn't, but the problem is they're tackling things that involve like I think that's probably what the weirdest part about Zendaya is. Zendaya appears to be a person that could just be plopped down in these stories, and her acting is obviously something that could, carry the weight of it. But are you writing something that is worthy of her being in it? It's like I don't know, but
Well, I mean, or are you making like something that's inherently like, oh, this is a fantasy story because this is a story where the racial dynamics of our world don't exist, you
right,
know?
right,
And it's like either way, you're not maybe knocking it out of the park. But I do think if the movie's good, you can, as you were kind of implying, if you're entertained enough by it, those you can check those feelings at the door enough to see a movie. But you can sort of still agree this movie did not do the work it needed to do to make this work in a
right.
way. I'm trying to remember, what was the movie we saw recently? I was part of our vampire cycle. What was the movie with Night Patrol? That was another movie where we all agreed that it didn't earn the subject matter
Yeah,
that
yeah.
it was dealing with. It didn't nail the like it didn't seem
Yeah.
to know what tone it could strike to deal with some of the heavy thoughts that it was bringing into the story. So yeah, this seems to be a running theme.
Mm.
A movie not earning the subject matter or not quite understanding it.
It was a solid movie too, man. I laughed quite a bit in the beginning. Like there's some funniness building up in some of that. And Robert Pattinson is doing this when he falls apart in this movie, it is so funny, man. It's like a real magic to his style of acting. Um, I enjoyed a lot of it. There were some
Yeah, he
parts
he
that
can do so much. He's
he
one of those
can,
guys
man.
who really can do a lot of different tones.
Yeah. What else did you guys see?
Well, I haven't seen anything else in the theater, but I have caught up with episodes 1 and 2 of season 5 of The Boys,
I'm not seeing any of that.
and I have also caught up with episodes 1 and 2 of season 1 of Maul, Shadow Lord, over there on Disney Plus, the Star
Man,
Wars
I haven't seen
animated
any
show.
of that, man.
I really liked Maul,
It
Shadow
was
Lord.
good?
I mean, I don't even keep up with all the Star Wars animation, but this really
Okay.
feels like they're they're trying to do something that feels like it's a step towards the more cinematic style of storytelling. And I'm sure
Oh,
someone
wow.
who's watched like all the other animated shows like Bad Batch and Clone Wars might say, well, they've been doing that. But this feels like a little bit of a just a world that is interesting, the crime world of Star Wars, and the idea that Darth Maul is like a crime lord in a sense, or like like he's like the guy at the head of a syndicate of different criminals and stuff. It's like it hints at that same kind of backdrop that was fun in Solo, a Star Wars story. Just that idea that you're getting into the underworld of Star Wars, and I think they're just it's the animation. It's like it still has that kind of slightly puppety looking style of Clone Wars or Rebels, but
Mm.
it for the action and the fights and like the ships and the backgrounds, the modeling that they're doing. I mean, they're doing some. It looks really good for an animated television show. So yeah, I found it to be. I mean, I'm hoping this is one indication of Star Wars kind of getting its mojo back because I've seen people respond really well to
It's
this
really
show.
cool. Okay.
But no, it's got some good action in it and stuff. And like I said, the look and feel of it feels like it still feels a little bit TV, but it also feels like a step towards the kind of cinematic thing. And then I don't know, Boys. I don't know if I need to say anything about it until you guys have seen it. Did you see it, Steve? The
I have
first couple
not.
episodes.
I
I
have
mean,
not.
you know the Boys, right? You know what they do over there.
Mm.
That's a good show, and the quality
Can't wait.
level is pretty high, and the story is really engrossing, and they're finishing up their story. So you know the last season of that show is going to be full of things that make you go, oh, because they're finally closing some of these arcs, and not everyone's going to get a happy ending. I will say this: there's something that happens in the first episode back that reminds me of something that happens in the last season of Better Call Saul, which is an intense and badass moment, and we'll talk about it after you guys have seen it. I guess maybe next week we can do a little segment on it once a few more
Absolutely.
episodes are out. But yeah, if you've enjoyed The Boys, you know that it's like on top of being an edgy show, and the part of the point of it seems to be to subvert like superhero tropes. It also has been giving us a pretty good like engrossing plot line of its own set in that milieu. And yeah, you can just get that last season feeling, when you're watching a show that you've been following, you can feel them going, all right, now we can finally have some of these conversations and some of these interactions that we've been sort of putting off all along to keep the story going. So it's like now when there's like a one-on-one scene between Homelander and anybody, you're like, well, is this person is this person walking out of this room? I don't know. So
True, yeah.
and he said that the creator said something kind of interesting. One thing he said was, "Don't expect Marvel-sized giant battles in this final season because they don't have the budget for that." But he said, "Do expect what I just said. Do expect a lot of one-on-one confrontations that are really satisfying." And the other thing he said was, "There's a lot of pressure nowadays working on your last season and your last episode because," he said, he's seen how people will throw away a whole show
Yeah.
if the last
I saw
episode
that.
doesn't feel good. and
I
he
saw
said
that. Yeah.
it's Eric Kripke,
Yep.
the showrunner, and he just said that they felt the pressure of that, of like, holy shit, we just don't want to do something that ruins the show for people, so that now they don't want to revisit it or they don't want to talk about it anymore.
Right.
So,
Right.
and I can only imagine. I totally see what they're saying, because we've talked about a lot of shows that kind of petered out for people. So, and on The Boys, you will actually see a character with his peter out.
Can always rely on that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Dong work is what I believe they call it. Dong work.
You ever heard that Frank Zappa song, Dong Work for Yuda?
No, I'm not.
I'm pretty sure it's offensive as hell and has not aged well at all.
Okay.
But that's, yeah. Don't look it up.
Don't look it up. What other shows have you guys seen?
I didn't see any shows really. I mean, I've been watching a few shows. I've been watching Rooster. I watched the season finale of Shrinking, which I thought was just
I'm catching up
excellent.
to that. Catching up to that. So good.
Rooster's also very good. That's the new Steve Carell show
Okay.
on HBO. But yeah, I would say Shrinking, just to kind of give some love to that, and to Harrison Ford. I mean, the whole cast is just outstanding. But
Yeah.
another season where Harrison Ford like really deserves like Emmy conversations. Like he's incredible on this show.
Can I ask you a question?
Of course.
Is he real?
Is Harrison Ford real?
No, 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 no.
Is
In the
Paul real?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Now I feel fucking crazy.
I would love to hear more why you think he would not be real, considering he interacts with every character in the show. But we can maybe we can do a recap.
There's a Paul's the new character, right?
Oh, no. You're talking about
Okay.
Michael J. Fox's character?
Yes, yes.
No, I'm talking about Harrison Ford. Paul,
Okay,
one of
no,
the
no,
main
no, no, no.
characters of
I'm
the
so
show.
sorry. No, I think he's very real. Michael J. Fox, is he real?
It's funny you say that. I thought for a moment in the first episode of this season, I was like, oh, he's not real. But then there are other parts of the show that confirm that he's real. Like
But then
in the season.
there was that part where okay, that's just a part of okay, all right.
There's another part where he shows up and he's like eating in the kitchen. But there's
Yeah, I
a
was like,
scene
what the fuck is going on now?
there's a scene in the season where he's actually in a meeting with Paul
Okay.
and the janitor from Scrubs. I forget the actor's name.
Okay.
He's in the show as one of Paul's patients, and they're all talking to each other.
Okay. So that's
It's not just Paul. Yeah.
Boy,
Anyway,
that fuck with me.
Shrinking is a great show, and the season was outstanding.
I am intrigued by this other world where Ronald could watch Shrinking and wonder whether Harrison Ford's character is real.
I was like, what is happening?
I'm really intrigued by because I haven't watched it.
I forgot his name was Paul.
And I've come through and watched different episodes and stuff. So even in my like drive-by watching of the show, I can tell Harrison Ford is definitely
Right.
He's definitely not Tyler Durden.
Right.
No, but since you mentioned Rooster, I was like, oh yeah, I don't know if you guys have been following DTF St. Louis. Have you been watching that one?
I've watched
I've heard incredible things.
First couple episodes.
It is a really unusual show. Like
weird.
going into the 6th episode, the way that it blends like drama and comedy and mystery. I won't say that it's 100% working for me. The timeline, the way it's split up, like it. I'm not saying the show. I'm just saying it can kind of feel like, why are we zipping forward and backward in time in this way? And like the further it goes along, you start to understand the timeline a little bit more. But sometimes I think that they make a show interesting just by jumbling the timeline up. But I don't know if there's a story reason why the timeline is jumbled. But I think it's like because there's a murder or a death. If you were to do this story in linear time from the beginning, there's a point in the show where one of the lead characters would drop out of the show. Yeah. And I think they've structured it so that you won't have that, so that you've got, the back and forth in time. But the way that it will go from, I mean, by the time you get to the 5th or 6th episode, you're used to it, and you can see almost the whole show as being like deeply sarcastic, like deeply, darkly sarcastic. But, it still is not full-on comedy, but there's moments that are just like, you don't even know if you're watching something that's really happening or not. Like there's a scene in one of the episodes where David Harbour and Jason Bateman's characters they like improvise a song together, and it kind of feels like a fantasy musical sequence between the two men, but it also is sort of something that could be happening in the moment.
Right.
But like the
Right.
soundtrack comes in to support it's just such a weird moment, and it's like you go, oh man, I'm watching something that is just taking chances in really interesting and weird ways that you would say I don't expect that from a show like this, but by the time we're in the sixth episode, you're like, wait, what kind of show is this? It's you want to say it's a murder mystery, but maybe it's not, and you want to say it's a story about a love triangle, but maybe it's not that, and I don't know. So I'm really interested in how unusual this show is, and I've really been enjoying it, and it's
Cool.
really fun to see those actors in particular bounce off of each other. I didn't mention Linda Cardellini, but she's great in it too, and all three of those actors are just like doing funny things and kind of twisting what you expect from them. Like Jason Bateman's playing a little bit more of like a dweeb than you normally see him play, but he's still got that Jason Bateman kind of dry quality. But this
Yeah.
is a guy who literally, when he's sitting there like looking off into space, it really seems like maybe there's no there. Like he's almost a little dim. Anyway, no, it's a really entertaining show. So
I wanted to give a shout out to two Hulu movies that came out over the last two Fridays. I watched Mike and Nick and Alice, which is the new uh, time travel buddy action comedy crime
Oh,
thriller.
oh,
Vince Vaughn, James Marsden, Isaac Gonzalez, Keith David, Jimmy Tatro, Ben Schwartz. Awesome cast. Uh, I liked it. I liked it quite a bit.
yeah,
Aaron and I both watched it. Both were really into it. Love. It's like you're just like you have the moments where you're like, oh man, Vince Vaughn's so good.
yeah,
I know we were talking about that with like Bad Monkey, the show he had on, and also like James Marsden. He's so good. Like
yeah.
he's really good in Paradise, and he's really good in this. And it's just this movie. Basically, it's about these gangsters that one of them is stumbles upon a time machine where he is basically going back to correct something from happening relating to the other gangster. And they're friends. One's trying to get out of the business, and one's kind of like a big mob boss. But definitely it was funny, cool, little like it's one of those like mid low budget movies that just now ends up on a streamer. It is a comedy, but it also has action and crime thriller. I liked it. It was really fun. And then the other one was Pizza Movie that came out last Friday.
Mm-hmm.
That's also on Hulu. This is just like a kind of college comedy, drug comedy with Gaten Matarazzo, Dustin from Stranger Things, and Sean Giambrone from he was on The Goldbergs,
Mm-hmm.
the sitcom that was on for a while. Basically, two friends in college who stumble upon some drugs that drop out of their ceiling tile, and it's like this multi-phased night of getting something to get them off of this drug to kind of kill their high because it's kind of escalating and craziness, or as Ronald would say, chaos ensues. It's one of those nights, a night in the life of a college student who took a drug that was 10 years old. And it was funny, man. It was really funny actually, and I liked it way more than I thought I would. And again, it's got that right mix of heart and friendship and like caring about one another
Mm-hmm.
that I think kind of finds its way into a lot of these kinds of movies, and it's kind of like the secret sauce I think that makes a lot of them work. Uh, a lot of the 80s ones and even some of the ones that we got in the 90s, late 90s, early aughts, but like um as long as that relationship between the friends works and there's like real heart and love between them, it feels right. And yeah, this one was a lot of fun. Also, again, back-to-back Fridays, back-to-back movies that were big, kind of big hits at South by Southwest, and they're on Hulu right now, so you can go watch both of them.
Can we call movies that are on Hulu movies?
Moo movies, new
And,
moo movies,
yeah,
new
yeah,
moo
new
movies.
movies.
Yeah.
Ronald, when chaos ensues,
mm.
it usually it starts with hijinks, right? Hijinks ensue.
Ensues.
What
Yeah.
what do you think is the tipping point between hijinks and chaos?
Um, Once people start yelling, once the heart rate
Okay.
goes up, that's
I think once they, I
shenanigans.
think once they lose control of it,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
it's
yeah,
just like, oh, people are acting a fool, and then
yeah,
all
yeah,
shit pops off, and they've lost control,
yeah,
and now they're just trying to get out alive.
yeah. Hijinks and shenanigans when those things start to flare up.
Hmm.
That's definitely, especially when somebody is so worried that they yell. Again, there's something about the lack of control and yelling.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's not like,
desperation. Yeah,
yeah,
Yeah.
I,
Once
I,
franticness sets in, I guess
yeah.
that sounds about right.
yeah.
Because
That's a lot of.
hijinks could be according to plan. You know what I mean? Like that
It's
could be
true.
the hijinks could
Yeah,
be the plan.
yeah. And then it just goes too far,
Yeah.
and in comes chaos.
So maybe that's it. Is when shenanigans elevate, they become hijinks,
Yeah.
and when hijinks go off plan, they become chaos, and then that's what ensues.
I'm being told from the wife that the James Marsden movie, by which she means Nick and Mike or Mike and Nick and Alice, feels like a '90s
Oh wow.
action rom-com thriller.
I gotta see
Hmm.
this movie.
I mean, you heard it here, people.
Yeah.
I mean, that just sounds like worthy of viewing.
And she's also at it for the new Hulu movie,
Yeah.
Hulu movie,
No, movies.
movies, the new movie, pizza movie. She said that reminded her a bit of Harold and Kumar,
I was going to say
Oh,
that I got vibes of Harold and
and
Kumar.
it's a very good comparison. Good job,
Where,
babe.
tell
Good
it, yeah.
job, man.
Tell her that John agrees with this comparison, and I haven't even seen the
John
movie.
gave you a thumbs up, and he hasn't even seen it.
But that idea that like because you're on drugs, something that should be simple becomes a quest or becomes like a mythic quest, you know? Like
And literally that is it. Like the thing that
yeah.
they're trying to do is get pizza.
Yeah.
That's literally the plot of the film is that they need to eat pizza to kill the high, and they can't get to the pizza.
I gotta
But
see this.
but I mean, like it's so silly, but it works, man. It was funny. I liked
Sounds
it,
fun.
and they're really good together too. Like I really like Gayton. I think he's like a lot of fun to watch, and yeah, I would recommend both of them for sure, especially if you have Hulu. They're the comedies like that. That's why, Aaron and I watch these together because like she doesn't like watching a lot of like heavy dramatic movies, and these are two kind of fun comedy. One a little more action, one a little more like the college, one night quest like you said, John. And
Yeah.
yeah, they live on Hulu now, so that's where they're at. And Hulu's got a lot of these. We talked about a lot of these over the years. Like they have some good comedies that they've kind of carved out quite a niche of.
What was the
They had like
Andy Samberg one with Christopher Milioti?
Spring was it
Palm
Spring Break?
Springs.
Palm Springs. Yeah, Palm Springs. They had that one Vacation Friends. They had
Hmm.
the John Cena one that just came out. The Idris Elba John Cena like president one that came out. Then they had another one that was also Lil Rel was in a couple years ago. I don't know. They got a bunch of those
Yeah.
comedies that are like really solid, like B plus movies, if you're going like that, and they're really kind of nice to just kick back and watch. So yeah, definitely recommend both. That's all I got, man. That's it. Anybody else want to throw anything out there before we wrap up?
No,
Not
I'm
I,
good.
Not I, said Ronald.
who is
We have
struggling
not
to
lost
stay
control.
alive.
We have
Yeah,
not
Ronald,
lost
I want to
control
say
of these
thank you for
hijinks.
thank you for staying with us. I know you weren't feeling great, but you made it. You
Yeah,
did it.
crazy.
Well, you don't look crazy, so that's a good start.
Yeah.
Thank you, man.
You're welcome. Movieschmovie.com is the website. You can go there to subscribe to the podcast, to listen to past episodes. You can also go to youtube.com/movieschmovie podcast to also listen to episodes of the podcast, but you can also watch them there. And when I say watch them, by them I mean long movie or long videos, short videos, videos with no video, just sound. There's just all kinds of stuff on that YouTube channel. If you can subscribe there, hit the bell so you get notified of new releases. Again, also that's where Ronald does the home cut releases when he does the Kaleidoscape reviews. They're also
Yes.
on that channel.
New ones are coming. New ones are coming. We just,
The most recent one was the Kill Bill one, right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
go check that out if you haven't watched it yet. And yeah, he's got some coming up here soon. Thank you so much for listening. We'll be back next week. And as always, you made our day. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.